Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Welcome, everyone, to City Alpha 3, a Star Trek podcast here on the Nerd Party. I'm Philip Gilfus, your host, joined as always by my two other co-hosts, Darren Moser and Daniel Prue. Gentlemen, how has your Star Trek week been going? Do you have your flags up?
Yeah, what's that line? The Klingon flag went up across the way, and you put up the United Federation of Planets, and then there's problems in the neighborhood.
We have First Contact Day, but we don't have like Archer Day or anything. So we don't know.
Yeah, Federation Day.
Federation Day.
Or what is it in Firefly? It's like
Union Day.
Union Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, not as many flags here, but I have been getting excited about Lower Decks as we've seen a poster, which is cool, with a big arrow on it, guys. An arrow, because that makes it directional.
Animated.
Yeah. I like the banner, but not the arrow. It's dumb. But well, in the little video of it where they show it. Yeah. The arrow animates and points right at the deck, and it's like, oh, that's cool. But then the actual poster, they animate it, but they are apparently they got the memo. Can't cross the nacelles, guys. It's got to go around the nacelle. So it kind of goes around the nacelle and then kind of dips in, and I'm like, no, just go. Yeah.
Darren, I'm not gonna lie. Did not realize it was pointing to Lower Decks. I just thought it was
it's literally pointing from the word Lower Decks to the lower deck. That's what the arrow is there for, but apparently it didn't even do its job.
No, I just thought that's the direction it's moving. I mean, it's animated. What do you want? But yes, the USS. Oh, I forget the name. I was gonna say Cisneros, so that's not it. I was actually not familiar. I googled the name, Darren, and all I got was a city in California.
Yep, I saw that. Apparently, yeah, maybe.
It's not a person. I mean, unless Google's not working.
Yeah, no, I don't know why it would be named the Cerritos. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it would be named after that city. It doesn't really spark joy, I guess. No, it doesn't make me think of... I know Cerritos had it has a big auto mall. I remember the Cerritos Auto Square. I remember ads for that, but I don't know. I don't know why.
Near L.A.? I'm just trying. It's an.
It's California, maybe. But it's got a college.
Walmart. It's legit.
It's a suburb of L.A. It's
okay. I just thought maybe that's an in-joke maybe. From
it's slightly closer to L.A. than Anaheim and Disneyland are. Again, it's got to either be somebody on the team who made the show live there. It's the only thing I can think of.
Because it did make me think that there's not that many starships named after places.
I mean, Cerritos, known as Dairy Valley, is a suburban city of Los Angeles, California, and is one of several cities that constitutes the gateway of Southern California. That doesn't mean anything. It's nothing Star Trek.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
In a matter of weeks, we'll find out. We'll read the dedication plaque.
Although I did like Aaron Harvey, friend of the show's, idea that maybe... I mean, it's been proven not to be that, but maybe they took the saucer from the crashed Enterprise D and just bolted some nacelles on it, and they're giving it new life, recycle. But it's not quite as big as an Enterprise D saucer. But
it is, and it's another one of those designs that makes you question how does this work? How do people get from place to place?
Yeah,
is it just just transporting a bunch?
I mean, I know it's animated. Look, the Grissom has a comeback. It's basically a Grissom-esque design.
Oh, those Oberth class.
But yeah, it wouldn't sting so much. Again, I'm not being negative. It's animated and it's fun. But honestly, the pieces that attach the saucer to the nacelles look like Lego pieces. I know the piece that it looks like. And maybe that was sitting on the person's desk when they designed it, but no. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
To me, it looks like if they made that exact model and made it a little bit bigger, it'd be a great TV tray. Because the saucer's a great... All right, the nacelles are great legs. He just pulls up right to you.
I can see that.
Room for your knees. Perfect. But the animated series part 2 is not what we're talking about, at least not this week, because we do look forward to talking about it. But we're going to be talking about Vulcan sex. I can't segue from animated. But anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about. Pon Farr. I know it seems like a random topic, but I'm always interested in things that in Star Trek, in the franchise, that keep getting re-explored. You know, a couple of weeks ago I talked about Harry Mudd. You know, just keep using it. And then, we introduced Pon Farr with the Vulcans. I'm doing my TOS rewatch. And, we had Amok Time was the season 2 opener, which introduced, Spock's mating cycle of Vulcans, and then opened up that idea. And, of course, if you ever have a Vulcan again, you and you have a 7-year series.
Have the obligatory Pon Farr episode.
You're sort of stuck in a corner that you can't, especially you could not address it, but people are going to ask questions. Hey, how come we never, even when Voyager started, I don't know if you all can remember the Wayback Machine, you're like, well, they're stuck. Tuvok's a Vulcan. I don't know if you all thought about that when that came up, because we famously avoided Vulcans for a while, right? Not TNG, not DS9.
True.
So, but I picked 2 topics, and we can either concentrate on them or using them as a jumping point. But I picked for our main Vulcan characters that aren't Spock. Is of course Star Trek Voyager with Lieutenant Tuvok, who I mentioned, and then of course Enterprise. Or Star Trek Enterprise, but I think this was Enterprise, with, of course, Subcommander T'Pol. So they both had Pon Farr experiences in 2 episodes, which I did not mean to do this, but there's an irony, because the Star Trek Voyager episode is Blood Fever, and it actually focuses on B'Elanna Torres, and we'll get to why. The other episode is Enterprise Bounty, like I said, which focuses on T'Pol, directed by Roxanne Dawson.
Yep.
How does that work out, guys? How did that work out? I just imagine, Roxanne's like, come over here. So I've done this scene. What you want to do here?
Well, and not only do we have an actress, Star Trek actress, Roxanne Dawson, directing that episode, but a Star Trek actor directed Blood Fever. That was directed by Andrew Robinson, who plays Garrick.
That's right.
And you tried to choose a Tuvok episode, but it's really it's not Tuvok.
Vorik?
It's Vorik.
Vorik, not Torek. He's different.
Ensign other Vulcan.
Speaking of lower decks.
Yeah, but he's got the more traditional bowl cut, so we know that he's a Vulcan. But
and there's also, because this has nothing to do with anything else I'll mention up front now, there's also a guest star in the Enterprise episode. It's in the other story that we may or may not talk about. But Robert O'Reilly guest stars in Enterprise, playing Alien, whatever.
Alien Mr. Bug-Eye.
Yeah. And infamous, of course, for playing Gowron.
I didn't realize it was him.
I want y'all to know.
And who else did he play?
Well, Darren, I'm about to get to that. I just recently played Star Trek Online. As you all know, I do that every blue moon. And they have a Klingon theme this time, and it's because they have J.G.
Hertzler,
thank you, and Robert O'Reilly on for some
just like things. Late night Star Trek Las Vegas, right there, those two.
And so J.G. plays Martok, because this is set in the, I guess you would say Picard time. I was going to say present time. Picard, of Star Trek Online. But Robert O'Reilly plays another Klingon.
Okay, because Gowron's dead at that point, because Worf killed him.
Yeah. But he says the line, and Darren, I know they did it because of you. He does say, it's a throwaway. It's a complete throwaway, and I knew they did it just for you. He, does something, and right before he beams out, he's like, experience beige. And he beams out, and I'm like, oh, no! They did it! He does.
I thought you were joking. Oh my god,
that's like the best thing I've heard all day.
If
that's
I
the
could
best
have screamed, y'all would have heard it.
Man.
But I was just
that's
like,
so that just proves it that Captain Kavik is his long lost twin, identical brother or something.
Yeah.
Do Klingons have twins? That would be crazy. I don't think we've ever seen Klingons twins, but
Lursa sisters. I don't know if they're.
Well, I mean identical.
Yeah. They're sorority, because for anyway. So no, but let's go into this, and so let's go in sort of timeline order of Enterprise. So I don't know.
This was the B story, But it's actually more the C story, but I guess,
So for those who haven't watched this episode, as Darren said, it's not the main story, but, they've come up from an alien planet. Phlox stops T'Pol and says, hey, you got a virus, so you're stuck in the decon chamber with me. And then basically the mysterious virus, that basically triggers her Pon Farr. And so she goes Pon Farr, Plaktawi, they don't say that. But anyway, and then the hijinks ensue. So, I don't know. So, what I'll give no pre things to this. So, Daniel, what'd you think of how they handled T'Pol's Pon Farr? Because, theoretically, she could have had it any time during the series. It didn't last 7 years. Spoilers. But anyway, what did you think about having to do T'Pol?
So, real quick, before we even... I'm going to give you an out, Philip, if you want just an easy way to just wrap this thing up real quick. I watched both of these episodes with my girlfriend, and she goes, oh, I like how neither of them get to have sex when they're just, obviously they're inhibited. But she goes, I don't like how nobody gets lucky in these episodes. So
yeah, it's and not to get serious, but in the age of consent, obviously, if only it was always the age of consent, but we're particularly aware of it now, which we should have always been. But watching these episodes, I do think about oh, okay. But anyway, go ahead, Dave.
So yeah, it's interesting because, and I'm kind of shocked that this was directed by oh my god, what's her first name? I'm not going to think of her last name.
Roxanne.
Thank you. I would have sworn this was especially the sexy parts, which were kind of cringy, directed by some middle-aged old dude.
Well, it doesn't mean she wrote it.
No, I get it. I get it. I know.
In the script, it says midriff and short
and that's
shorts.
It for the
that's
whole
what it
episode.
says.
It's okay. The Pon Farr stuff is kind of silly to me in general, and Jolene does a well enough job with it, and so her and Phlox are kind of an interesting pair too. Whereas in the Voyager episode we'll talk about, it actually progresses that relationship forward.
Right. It's actually the beginning of that relationship.
Yeah, it's here it's oh, it's just your doctor and you're just that desperate, and that's kind of fun and interesting for a little bit. But it seems to drag a bit for me for the whole thing. But I get it. And like you said, you kind of have to address it. I don't know if this is the most interesting way to do it, but it works.
See, it was okay. It was way more... I guess it made me think of the episodes later where she's dealing with that, Trillium or something. Detox. Which was way more interesting. So having your character be fallible and have them dealing with something like that was a way more interesting story arc than this. This felt like, oh yeah, that thing on the planet, it did the thing. So now it's Pon Farr. It's but just be happy you're not Tuvix, because that sometimes happens, or you get shrunk down to rascals. Apparently, it's very dangerous. But, it C story. Yes, it's technically the B story, but as far as it feels like a blip in this episode. The episode's called Bounty. It's about the bounty. It has nothing to do with the Pon Farr.
It introduces Tellarites, and which, by the way, are not very Tellarite. We're not going to talk about that story, but I was shouldn't they be arguing more? It doesn't matter. But anyway,
that's a specious stereotype, Philip, and I won't have it.
Say it in the
on
episode,
this.
They never show it.
Real quick, just because it bothered me, they said when they're introducing the Tellarites, they're in Tellarite society, it's a sport for them to argue. I'm that's the same way in America, not in American, but human society. We have debate teams and stuff like that. It's no different. That's the same sort of thing. Anyways, but
they should wear
Daniel,
equipment.
It's okay.
Greasy squares.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah. So I guess watching it, and I don't know if this is a criticism. I guess that's how it's going to sound like, but because this was the prism of the topic that I just made you all think about was, how do they handle it? Are they going to add details to what we know about Vulcan, mating, and this is a female Vulcan? Does that change anything compared to the male Vulcan that we see with Spock? But then as I watch it, I'm is this supposed to be funny or is it dramatic? I don't think they were making it funny, but I don't know. I guess anytime you do sex, it's kind of like, oh, it's all funny, huh? But I'm like, I don't know. She's in real pain here. I like, this is like literally a matter of life and death. And so I maybe they walk the line successfully, and maybe that's why I struggled. It's like, well, they're not doing it funny, but they're not doing it like, I don't know. What would you all think?
I would have made it where it's not only like debilitating, but it's more like, think of like the episodes where Data just like went nuts and took over the Enterprise. Like that was a really cool episode. So I'd rather see her like snap where she's just like, there's this one thing I want, and so she like disappears into the crawl spaces and is like causing havoc because she, is just she's super smart because she's always been smart, but now she's unreasonable.
I think the problem with that is, and I was thinking the same thing, like when she was trying to get out and when she did get out, I was like, and kind of what you were going with, Philip, like the tone, where do you want to go with it? If you push it too far, you have like a crew member that's like getting really rapey, like is like literally going to get their way no matter what, especially someone like her who she's stronger than everybody else on the ship. And like, how do you resolve that? Like, if you make her into like some sort of a crazy predator during this period, how do you come back from that? Like, it's weird. Like you say, Philip, it's kind of a strange balancing act where is it supposed to be funny and cutesy? Is it supposed to be scary and like really high stakes? And I feel like they didn't really want to go one way or the other, and they just settled in the okay.
And watching both these episodes, and I don't know, it's a critique, I suppose. And this is not just this. It's a lot of stories where we'll see two different series approach a concept, and they seem very similar. Because like there's literal lines that are the same in both episodes, like, "Oh, I've seen the way you've looked at me." T'Pol says that to Reed. B'Elanna says that to Tom. It's just there was a little sort of because, like, Spock, having watched Amok Time fairly recently, he just sort of shuts down. Well, he, like, throws soup at Nurse Chapel. But, so emotional outburst and then just staying within himself and just... And so I was kind of thinking, like, with T'Pol, maybe that being a gender difference, or sex difference, whatever the right word is that maybe there's a difference. Like, how does a Vulcan woman? And they just seem to do the same thing. I was like, oh, lost opportunity just to make it different. I don't know, maybe I don't know. Yeah, and I also I don't know what to do with this, guys. With T'Pol, sexy T'Pol. Am I reading too much into it, or are they trying?
No,
because go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's cringy. It's like hard to watch. Like I said, because it's not even like we'll talk about the Voyager one, and I like the sexiness in that episode comes out of the relationship between the two characters that you care about. And that is actually interesting. And like, you're like, okay, you're rooting for it. Here it's just like, it's the same thing they do every time they go in that damn blue room. And they just like close-ups of Jolene's body and stuff, like real creepy, like real weird, like. And you're like, it's not even sexiness done well. It's just cheap and cheesy, and it just doesn't feel right. I just didn't like it at all.
Because I didn't know what to go with it. Because I'm like, how much am I projecting of myself? She's to me a very attractive woman. But how much is the episode just that's what it's like? In other words, they show Phlox, with the lotion. Is it just because he's maybe not as a heavier alien than the And so like they're showing the same thing. I mean, he's not wearing a bare midriff, and he's not wearing short shorts. But he's rubbing stuff on his skin. They're showing close-ups of that. They're showing hers. So is it different? I mean, I don't know. I was just like obviously they're trying to do sexy Vulcan, but maybe that's just me projecting it on her. I don't know. Because look, I mean, I think that's the whole thing with the series. But like Blaylock, I know she came from the model industry, but she's trying to be an actor here, trying to show a character. It doesn't necessarily have to just focus on that.
Yeah, but if you're going to focus on that, like if you're going to do Pon Farr and you're going to focus on her sexuality for the episode, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that when you don't add any substance behind it, and it's all just literally just close-ups of her body, like really long pans, and or she's like laying on the ground, and you're like still like looking at her butt. It's like weird. It's just not. It doesn't feel. It's not sexy. I don't think. It's just creepy. It's more creepy to me.
Well, and like I said, I mean, especially when we compare it to the other episode, which I think handled Pon Farr way better and in a really interesting way. So this one, it's like, okay, you're going to deal with Pon Farr, but you're going to make it like a C-level, story. It just felt tacked on, and it's like not really. If you're going to do it, go for it and make it like a big part of the episode and make it interesting. It just, like you said, Philip, it was just kind of checking the box of, oh yeah, we've had our Vulcan Pon Farr episode.
Stop asking us about it. I either just wanted a few additional things as far as maybe I want to go further, but the decon thing, Daniel, with you and what you said about the decon chamber is true. But on one hand, with Enterprise, we can argue about what prequel, but it's a prequel, so there you go. But I do like the thought that like we have to do this old school decon. I mean, the concept I kind of like. Now, of course, they always try to make it sexy lotion time, and I guess that's where it falls apart. But I just like that idea of like we just came from a planet, we just don't magically scan you. We got to sit here for a while. There's going to be a few hours, and I was just like, it's just a little technique. I was like, I like that we're kind of like level 1, space exploration. So, and then introducing the shyness factor to Phlox, which, this isn't the Denobulan sex episode. That's a whole other thing. But I mean, because they were trying, of course, to introduce that obviously T'Pol is going to be full on and he's going to be, but I don't know if they sort of said and not showed, with that. I don't know, because he wasn't like. He was about. If they had never said that the Denobulan males are shy about sex, the episode would have been the same, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was just him, basically just recognizing that she was out of her mind, and she, she couldn't. She was totally unreasonable, and not herself. So, and I think he thought that would be inappropriate. Although, I guess it doesn't track because he does have relationships later on with people who he is their doctor, but that's okay.
Because he said something about like, I mean, whatever. I'm not trying to culture whatever the Denobulans, but like he said, like, problem with nudity or with being around nakedness, and it made a problem with the Starfleet medical exam. I'm like, how do you give exam? Well, I guess you all have scanners now. I guess you don't actually have to be. Anyway, it just made me wonder, how do you do your doctoring then? I don't know, but I guess in the 22nd century things are a little bit different. And then this was just for me at the end when T'Pol escapes, and they all had to like come with their spacesuits, and like she is not wearing her mask, guys. She's just going everywhere, not wearing her mask.
That wasn't a little interesting slice when Phlox was talking about, oh, you'll contaminate all of D deck and E deck, and it's like. And like you can't go out there, and I'm like, oh, hey, we know what quarantine's like now. This is first-hand experience now.
Yeah, and they're wearing spacesuits, just like in ET, where that's what apparently you wear when you go to a quarantine area, a spacesuit.
Yeah, we've all seen them in real life, right? No, that's okay. All right. Well, and then do you got so you have that we're going to do a T'Pol B story, Pon Farr. Is it too obvious to use Trip? Because obviously we're going to do this in the next, what we're going to talk about later. Because like I, for some reason in my mind, I had thought Trip was going to have a thing, or there's going to be some sort of confrontation, with him and T'Pol. But he just like he barely registers in this episode of like, y'all want some food, and then that's the extent of his episode, or for this story part anyway.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, just introducing like the totally platonic character versus a potential mate. I don't know. Would you all have done that differently, or is it just maybe do Phlox better? Because obviously they're the two aliens of the group, but they didn't really play that up that much.
I think Phlox is the best choice in terms of the Enterprise crew. I just don't think it was handled super great. I think he has the most potential for interesting sort of, conflict and resolution, but it's just almost everybody else just ends up being.
I don't know. There's Hoshi or Travis.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Travis would be really weird. Hoshi would be
because we don't know anything about him, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, so moving on to Voyager episode Blood Fever. So this is the whole episode, is Pon Farr. And I think it's an interesting twist, and as much as you may or may not agree, is that you have Ensign Vorik, who is not Ensign Vorik. He's not. He's a different character, guys.
They're on different ships.
But
How could they be the same character?
Yeah. And he's in engineering, which is not as low of a deck. It doesn't matter. Okay. But anyway, so he's hitting Pon Farr, and he goes for Torres, and she says no, thank you. But he, I guess, unknowingly attacks her and touches her around, and then basically telepathically Pon Farrs her. I guess that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
And so she basically goes down on a planet, and Pon Farr's out on the planet, and then her and Tom are stuck in a situation, and then it's basically her and Tom instead of T'Pol and Phlox, and we go from there. So I don't know, Darren, what'd you think of Blood Fever and Vorik / Torres?
I thought you were going to say Torek, but way better episode. Just really dealt with it in an interesting way. I think, like you were saying, these episodes are not about Spock, and so to see it in a different way, and to actually, I mean, it's also very different than Enterprise, where, they're stuck out there. So what's their plan? And, the Doctor actually comes up with a pretty ingenious idea with the holodeck of like, well, just a holographic woman is totally the same thing. And, I'll write a paper about it. Never mind. No paper.
Okay, can we just address that? Because it's a real big stickler. I'm just like, in 250 years, nobody has figured this out yet. Like, okay, I get it, definitely during Enterprise, makes sense. And then obviously we've established during TOS. Fine. That's been established for a long, long time.
But other times where there's only one Vulcan on a ship.
You can't fight against it. But in the intervening 100 years, nobody else has figured this out. No Vulcan has ever come out and talked about it. What about those emotional Vulcans? It's so silly to me that there's this entire, and like when they get
the logic extremists.
They are logic extremists.
And like it's so frustrating because they're like, it's so silly. Like even when the Doctor is like, I find Vulcan attitudes about sex like positively Victorian. It's like, no, like it wouldn't be. These people know this happens to them. I get that they lose their,
and they know when it's going to happen. Like they're like, I mean, like you're saying, like I'm stationed on this ship, but as long as I go back to Vulcan in 5 years, I'm good.
It's silly.
Well, I was going to talk about that later, but we can talk about because in both episodes, they talk about this as a secret. We don't talk about it with outsiders, and blah blah blah. And like you said, I can deal with Enterprise. But with the Doctor, you're telling me the Doctor who has the entire knowledge of the Starfleet medical database, he basically says, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, the symptoms, but we have no idea what it is. Like, really? Are there no Vulcans that... Now, I mean, like, so, like, even the Vulcan doctors, I'm sure they're Vulcan doctors, have never, ever... Because I'm sure he's not just Starfleet. I mean, other papers. And so I find it hard to believe it's that secret anymore.
Yeah, they're just...
Well, yeah.
They're bothersome.
I can get that it's a stigma, or whatever, that's probably not the right word, to talk about it, and that's why Tuvok and Vorik have awkward conversation, and that's fine. I mean, I get that, whatever, to each culture their own. But just like the biology
weird.
Should be known. Yeah.
Like that the Federation's not like, hey, Vulcans, you're a founding member of our society,
why do you
but
disappear every 7 years and suddenly have a wife?
But let's not include anything in our medical database about this ailment that strickens you from service every 7 years. Like, yeah.
No, every single Vulcan in Starfleet
requests shore leave every 7 years.
So that's not clear, but obviously it can't be the case that everybody's Pon Farr aligns, right? Or is that what we're meant to think?
I think if you're two Vulcans that work together...
Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. Like, sorry, I'm, as of today, I'm 5 years out. Oh, I'm 3 years out. Well, sorry. It's just...
I guess they really figure...
It's never made clear.
Sorry, although, I mean, if you think about it, though, they're not saying that they can't have sex any other time. They just have to.
Yes.
But they're...
How apart are Tuvok's children? That's it.
But we this was something I forgot to look up, but we do see Tuvok in his Pon Farr later on in the series. Is that correct?
Yeah,
I think he actually uses the
holographic option
for his wife, right? He substitutes his wife.
Yeah.
Right. Because their ears are like a couple millimeters too short or something.
But what happens here? Yeah. Does Torek or Vorik, does he just lie and not use it? Does he turn it off when the doctor comes?
That's true. He says he uses it.
Left to the viewer.
But then later he goes nuts and disables all the systems and beams down to the planet. So obviously, even if he did, it didn't work enough. I don't know.
Well, and I find it interesting, and I'm sure this is what y'all wanted to talk about, but I find it interesting from a biological perspective because my question, I have some questions, because like Star Trek 3 threw me off a little bit about how Pon Farr works. I think when I watched Star Trek 3, because I was a young age when I watched it. I don't think because I watched the movies before I watched the TV series, and so but subsequent viewings that Saavik, if you remember, Spock's growing up in various ages, and she's with young Spock, and she's like, "Oh, you're experiencing Pon Farr," and it does the finger thing, but like, I never wrote the whole thing that basically we're supposed to imply that she just had sex with him there on the Genesis planet. So I mean, I'm not trying to, but I mean, it's basically right what happened, so which is odd. I mean, I don't know. It's not my culture, but I have questions about how that worked. But anyway, and she's just a very giving person. Then I guess she's like, oh, obviously you need to not die, so let me help you out here. But anyway, all that said, when does it start? Because both Vorik and T'Pol say this their first time. Now T'Pol's has been accelerated, so I'm like, when does it start?
That's true. When does Vulcan puberty kick in?
We know T'Pol is quite old at this point.
Well, and she's older than Spock looked like on the Genesis planet.
Yeah, and I can get maybe women are different, but still.
No, you would think that it would happen much, much younger. I think that they were both too old for this to be their first time. And honestly, it doesn't even add anything. It doesn't add anything because Torak could have just been like, "Oh, yeah, it's." I mean, he wouldn't admit it, so that doesn't push that forward anyways. And T'Pol could have been just like, "I don't know why I'm having these symptoms. This is not supposed to be happening to me right now." So either way, they're both denying it anyways. It's the medical professional who comes up to them and be like, "Oh, that's what this is." So I don't know. There's no point for them saying it's their first time. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's Earth. Their years are different, presumably. I don't know. So using my Earth math, I'm like, what, 21, 28?
You would think it would be younger than that. I mean, you would, right?
They have arranged marriages, so
sexual maturity.
And I mean, and then also, is it? And the answer is we don't know. My question is it the same person? Like, in other words, if the drive every 7 years is to return to your home planet, which I mean, there's issues there. Can you always go home to your home planet? Is there a court? Yeah. But then is it just your spouse, mate, whatever word they want to use? Because like with the Amok Time, it's said they have a prearranged marriage, which there you go, I guess. And, as children, you're telepathically engaged, I guess, or whatever. And then maybe that's what happens during the whole cycle thing. When you're telepathically, engaged as children, you get on the same time or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's true, and you do have arranged marriages, so maybe you are arranged with someone who's in sync with you.
But then how does that work? Because I guess, Torek says, or Vorik, see, I'm doing it again. Vorik, not even on purpose, but Vorik says he has a person at home. I don't know if they're married. He just has his person.
And he says he assumes that they think he's dead and they've found another.
But T'Pol, I know she went through the married divorce thing already. I forget what her status is during this episode. But anyway, well, let's talk about Torres. How do y'all think they handled B'Elanna Torres going Pon Farr Klingon style?
I think it's interesting. I think part of it kind of feels a little bit like, okay, I don't care what the equation looks like, but at the end of it, B'Elanna Torres has to want Tom. So what if the Vulcan, not Tuvok, is experiencing Pon Farr and mind meld? Brilliant! Sci-fi, it works. Let's do it. It kind of feels a little bit like that. But
I like how should we use Tuvok? No, we're saving that one. We're gonna do something with Tuvok. Let's save it. Let's not use that one. They didn't use it.
But yeah, no, but I liked the story. I think they handled it really well, and the scenes with Tom are really good.
Well, I like that, having watched Bounty first, and because it's the whole, in both episodes, the male and the females, the Pon Farr, the male is the Pon Farr E. And they're both like, oh, no, thanks, I'm not, I'm not going to be that person, no. But I forgot, they go pretty far in Voyager. Like, Tom is like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then, like, by the end of the episode, Lieutenant Tuvok has to have given Lieutenant Paris the weirdest order he's ever gotten in his life. Basically like, so, if you can take care of that, Chakotay and I will step a respectable distance away now. And it's like, this is happening. So, I mean, like, they're engaging pretty far then before it's like, oh, wait a minute. Actually, they don't even wait a minute. So that's when Vorik comes in. So they were going to go there. So I just thought that was interesting how far they went there. But I also thought it was interesting how they also played with it, not only making it Torres, but also going back to ritual combat. I love the beginning of the episode of Tuvok.
My ritual combat. It's the only way now. It's the only option left on the tip. Really? That's the only option, Tuvok? Yes.
Which I love the Tuvokian.
It's like no, let them fight.
But I love the Tuvok exposition. Well, there's only 3 things that can happen, and 3 things only. Number 1 is, sex. That's not going to happen, everyone. It's a family show. Number 2 is combat. Number 3 is deep meditation. I just want to stress that number 2 does not apply to this situation. And then he winks, and then the scene moves on.
Yeah, pretty much. But what did you think of how they handled like the caves and all that, Daniel?
Like you said, it's a bit of a contrivance that
a little bit.
It ends up in B'Elanna. I get it, and it works. It's all Star Trek stuff, and it's all pre-established Star Trek stuff. So they use they use the canvas pretty well. So I bought it. It was fine, and I thought it was interesting. I want to talk. I don't want to talk. I just want to mention the cave people who just like appear out of nowhere. Which shocked me.
Hi, where?
I forgot about that.
What are you doing in our living room? What?
The episode doesn't spend any time on them, so we shouldn't either. But I just wanted to bring up the fact that they just show up out of the walls.
They do.
I was not expecting.
Guys, this is the other episode, right? Like. You don't. This is day 5 of shooting. You don't need to be here just yet. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I was like I can't remember the character's name from Hunger Games, like the cake guy who like decorates himself as a swamp during Hunger Games. But anyway, is that Peter or not Peter? I can't remember. But anyway, so yeah, it's because then they had the weapons that were also camouflaged as well, which I thought was very helpful.
But anyways, the part that I was annoyed about that whole thing, Philip, with when they were like, "Oh, ritualistic combat or sex or meditation," and it's like, me and my human mind, and I get that this is human. I'm like, there are other options, guys. When Vorik said he was going to go lock himself in his quarters and take care of the situation, I'm like, guys, there's just other options. There's just other things that people can do to take care of the situation. And then, like when the doctor was like, and you mentioned it earlier, Darren, when the doctor's like, we can use the holodeck. And you're like, duh. This looks like it's just like a really heightened sexual desire, and anything to relieve that frustration.
Like, is there something about Vulcan biology where they'll know and it won't work? Like, that doesn't. I've not picked that up, but.
And then, I mean, why does the hologram, presumably, we don't know, we're inventing it in a story, why does it not work for Vorik? But does work later for Tuvok.
For Torvik. I mean,
was it his wife?
I think
Tuvok's wife.
I think it's he.
One's a bridge crew and one's an ensign. Obviously, that's the difference.
Lower decks, yeah, it's different.
I think this is why I asked the question earlier. I don't think he used the hologram. I think he put it on pause, and then called the doctor back in 20 minutes later, and because he was formulating in his mind, I'm going to go down there and win her back because he is still all emotional.
Yeah,
and I think that's the only thing that makes sense because, again. Any rational, logical person would be like, okay, do what you got to do, man. Like, to take care of the situation. Like, at the end, when Tuvok is like, she's going to die. You could just have sex with her, and it's, like, not the end of the world. She won't be dead. There you go. And so it's, like, it seems like a pretty easy problem to fix.
Yeah, we're not going to go there because we're not doctors, and we also don't want to go there. But, like, I'm watching both these episodes, I'm like, what's going to do it? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, and so, because, we were dealing with both men and women because you had T'Pol and then you had, I was like, what's going on here? that was my question too, Daniel, because they started to get really specific about, like, and I'm like, okay, is it this or that or that? Or what's exactly that? Anyway, we don't have to go there. What do you think of the B'Elanna and Tom Paris of it all, as far as that relationship? That we know eventually ends in marriage and family and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a really good way to develop that story. It shows the respect that Tom has for B'Elanna, even when she's not obviously in her own head. And I think and it allows them to kind of get some of that tension out there, where he's like, obviously, I've been chasing you for a while and all this sort of stuff. I think it's really effective for relationship building for them. And I think that's the best part of the episode, especially the end when they're in the turbo lift. That was fun. They're cute little...
Oh, the be careful what you wish for. You're like, okay.
Because he was, to be fair, he was put in a pretty tough situation, and he was quite gallant. He was acting in her best interest, so...
And I think it's interesting because, you go with Shy Phlox and the other one, and you have Tom Paris, who's, the
ladies' man of Star Trek, of Voyager.
Not known for saying no. We'll put it that way. And so it's interesting to see. I mean, I think it's very good writing and acting about, because Paris is playing with it. He's like, yes, but no. But yes, but I'm not gonna.
I know, when she's like, don't you find me attractive? It's like, what? No.
But I did very much think of, and, we don't have to go explore this that much, like I said, but like a very, like, alcohol, consent, and, like, the person saying yes, and you're like,
but she's not in her right mind.
Yeah. So, but I thought that was done very well. I thought
that's true.
Anyway.
At the end of the day, you have a show with an episode that shows a friend not taking advantage of their friend because they know they're not in their right mind. Like, in itself, like, that's great. Like, we need more of that.
Mm-hmm. Not until given a direct order by his but it was just like a weird. He's like, "Go ahead," and we're gonna walk away. And I was like, "This is." Weird.
I will say, in that same vein, I do think that consent is the king of all here, and we're just mentioning that. But I also think in the 24th century, sex is not nearly shamed as much.
That's true.
Unless you're
they don't really go in that
big of a deal. So I think in a lot of these cases, again, it would just be a case of, like, listen, man, I need this situation to be resolved, and then you're just a buddy, and you're like, okay, sure, I'll help out. But anyways, that's not where we are now, and of course, Star Trek is a reflection of our values.
Yeah.
So we kind of need to see, and they handled it really well, that sort of stuff. So,
and I'd forgotten the line, and I think there's a lot to the line at the end, like you said with the turbo lift, where Tom's like, I saw the big bad Klingon part, and you know what? It wasn't that big and bad. Because that's always been, Torres' chip on her shoulder, and so I thought I forgot that
can't get close to anybody because they're going to see this side of me that I don't want them to see.
Mm-hmm. So I thought it was done well.
Boom! Before you know it, they're watching TV episodes.
I will say another thing that I really appreciated about the episode was. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when we're discovering or rediscovering these alien culture parts of other people, there's... Oh,
I thought you were going to say aliens, like, and they're there!
Sorry,
alien
just
culture.
Having Vorik and, like, him going through the experience, but then we had, like, an older, wizened, same species, someone there to help guide them and also kind of navigate that situation... And I liked that because a lot of times, like you said, like it's just the one alien. It's just the one Klingon that has to go through all of these war rituals by himself. But like if you had someone else, you kind of build up the culture and the camaraderie between the characters. So I really like.
That's why in DS9, like Martok and Worf was a great pairing because you had like two Klingons, and two Klingons were better than one, because you have Worf going through issues, and Martok can be the seasoned veteran to help him, especially with command decisions and stuff like that. So, maybe less lone alien encounters where we don't get to see as much. I mean, even the Ferengi episodes often have multiple Ferengi, and you see a lot of interaction going on there, or family dynamics. So, all that to say, more aliens are better. I mean, like Saru, it's another example, him interacting with his society.
Because I think the, in as much as we know that human society is very diverse, aliens on Trek are very... Romulans look like this. Klingons look like this. Well, now we know Klingons look very different ways.
Now we know that Romulans have different regions and
that's right.
Foreheads.
Some are Irish. But anyway, but that's all to say, it's like you said, if you have more than one Vulcan on a ship, you can be like, oh, they're kind of different. Some are like this, some are like that. Like you said with the Klingons, Worf is a little more stoic than Klingons who drink and laugh and joke and tell stories and sing. But anyway, so where you, of course, I think Tuvok was not the most helpful Vulcan. It's more like, no, it's like, about this? The doctor's like, about this? Yeah, I'm not helping you. That's not. But anyway, he eventually helps in the end there. So I felt like there was kind of a crisis at the end. I mean, not really. They just needed the mineral to the warp core. It wasn't like an emergency, but I felt like they had a mission. And they're like, hold on. Let's do ritual combat here. For just if we could just hold on for a second, and like Tuvok just like has like the chalk, and he just marks off real quick, and go. And it's like Chakotay's like, what the? I don't know how I'm going to write this up when I get home.
So this is totally off topic, but there are some things that keep certain species out of the Federation. And I wonder if ritualistic combat would disqualify you from Federation membership.
That's why
I feel like that might be one of those things that maybe, like, if you haven't moved past that, maybe you shouldn't be. But anyways, that's fine. I guess it's like a once in 7 years clause.
So now the Federation Charter is getting written up, and they're like, okay, but here's the byline, da 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 da. Okay, Tellarites, you're good. Okay, no, do any of these following 5 things apply? No. Okay, okay, Vulcans, for me and my species. Now, no, they don't apply. Check the box.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Secret listening posts. That's what I'm saying. Secret listening posts is on the list, and all those Vulcans.
Do you think that we can go into Vulcans just in and of themselves, but like, do you think that inhibits Vulcans being used in other series? Because if you have a Vulcan in Discovery, if you have a Vulcan in Picard, or if you have a Vulcan in Lower Decks, and you have it for more than... They're like, oh, we got to do a Pon Farr episode, don't we?
I don't think so. I mean, well, think of like Picard. There's actually, of the main crew, except for 7 being part Borg, they're all human.
Yeah.
So they don't really have a lot of aliens.
You obviously forgot about the Romulan on the ship, Darren. He had a very big
But
part.
he's not on the ship, though. He's not part of the ship crew.
He knocked on the glass. Or no, he threw a rock at it, so I guess he wasn't on the ship. But.
Well, that's true.
No, I don't think... Honestly, what I think you do, like, say that they put a Vulcan in Lower Decks. I don't know. Do we know anything about the crew in Lower Decks? I know that we know the voice actors and stuff.
I know what they look like. There's one that kind of looks like a half who has some artificial elements to him.
But anyways, if say they put one in there or whatever, Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds, I guess, would be different because that's before Spock. But anyways.
No, he's literally on the
bridge.
Well, no.
You know what I mean. This would be his mid-Pon Farr time.
Too young.
I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to do something new and you would just downplay it. You would just be like, you have your...
He's going to destroy Leave. It's a kid show.
No big deal. No big deal. He's
Spock shuttle.
He's like, in a week, I need to go take care of something, man. Is that cool if I just take this week off? And it's fine, yeah. And then nothing happens, and then that's.
I have to change my marital status when I get back. We'll talk later. It's
on Facebook.
Anyway, yeah. All right. Well, that was a lot from Vulcan 6. So sorry to throw that at everyone, but it's not. Again, you have Vulcans. We introduced the concept, and so they keep going to it because that's part of the species. So, all right. Well, Darren, if folks want to talk to you, where can they find you? Darren has 2 children. Just throwing that out there.
7 years apart.
They can find me on Twitter, Twitch, or Instagram under username Dr. Sci-Fi, DrSciFi.
And then Daniel, if folks want to find you, I know you're a little young, that's why you don't have any children. Where can they find you?
That's not why I don't have any kids, but that does not matter. They can find me on Twitter at OneUpDan. That is the number 1 and not the word.
And if folks want to contact me, but not next year, you can't contact me next year. It doesn't matter why. You can find me at NC Public Servant. Well, until next week, I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And I'm Darren Moser.
Stranded here on City Alpha 3.